The day was December 30, 2006, one of the happiest days of the Muslim world, Eid al-Adha. It is surprising that Saddam Hussein was executed on this Eid day. What is even more surprising that 12 American soldiers who were his bodyguard or guards cried when they saw him hanged Saddam Hussein. But what was the secret, and did Saddam Hussein give them a secret gift that brought tears to the eyes of American soldiers? In today's video, we will uncover those mysterious and finally saw how human and self-sacrificing a leader Saddam Hussein was. So as always, welcome to another new video of Cute Bangla 24. December 30 in 2006 was one of the most joyous days in the Muslim world, Eid al-Adha. But that day was dark in the history of the Middle East. Former Iraqi President Saddam Hussein was hanged on the very morning of Eid day. American soldiers were moved to tears by the sight. The US soldier in charge of execution could only hold 12 people to protest against it. Moment before the execution, Saddam Hussein handed his watch to an American soldier and said, "Take care of it." Those tears were a burning testament to the heartbreak that even the enemy felt when they saw such a calm, strong and confident leader facing death. Saddam Hussein accepted to death like a warrior, not afraid, not distraught, but facing a brutal truth of history. To understand this reason, emotion, political message and historical significance behind this event, we must look back to this moment when death was certain but self-respect was intact. In this video, we will learn why Saddam Hussein was hanged on Eid day and why his enemies, the American soldiers, shed tears upon seeing to the scene. A member of the US military, Steve Hutchinson, was in charge of the execution. Just before the noose was put around his neck, Saddam Hussein gave him a secret gift. What that gift was and why the arresting American soldier burst into tears upon receiving it is still unknown to many people. And Saddam Hussein opponents never let this information come to light. Saddam Hussein opponents who or what spit on Saddam body after this death, and how Saddam Hussein assassin Hutchinson left the US army after that incident are also deep question. America never wanted to bring these histories to the world. However, it was not possible to keep all the secret hidden. An eyewitness named Barden Warper revealed many things about this incident, and he wrote the book. The last words that Saddam Hussein said before his death were very powerful and hostile. He said, "I have the death sentence of the court less than the Iraqi issue. I am not afraid of the noose around my neck." He also said, "My entire country has been hurt and have been hurt. My companions have been subjected to terrible torture. Even the bones of my close companion Abu Nadir have been broken." Through these words, the history of the pain, anchorage and sacrifice of the statement emerges. The soldiers, amidst the beating, extracted the truth from Saddam Hussein's mouth. He said, "They are liars. They declared that our country had weapons of mass destruction. Now, having occupied the country, they themselves say that they found nothing. But I did not lie. I can still show the marks of the injuries inflicted on me. Iraq has never accepted liar and will never do so in the future. American democracy is ashamed here today. They even stole my watch. I say this so that you can compare. They even touches my number 3 combat uniform so that they could be light Saddam Hussein honor. But remember, Saddam Hussein is never judged by his cloth. Rather, this shameless act of theirs has damaged their own honor." He also said, "Some little people laugh at me. Let them laugh. In any situation, let these who mock like deer or monkeys laugh. Because the king of the forest, the lion, is never upset by the laughter of a monkey in a tree. Look at me. I do not give a damn about these trivial things." Saddam Hussein demonstrated his determination and self-respect until the death before his death. Here, instead of getting into the debate about whether Saddam Hussein was a good or bad person, we are presenting his last word. On December 30, 2006, the day of al-Adha. Saddam Hussein was prepared for execution. Shortly before the execution, Saddam Hussein handed over his one watch to Steve Hutchinson, one of the 12 members of the US Army, who always guarded Saddam. He gave it to him with the request that he take care of the watch. Many believe that this is silent message, the final realization of a self-respecting leader. Saddam was guarded by 12 American soldiers in his final days. They were not only Saddam bodyguards, but in a sense they also become his last companion. Although they were not Saddam friends before their arrest, these 12 men become Saddam's closest people until the very end. These 12 US soldiers were called the Super 12. They were all members of the 551 Military Police Company. One of the Super 12, Will Barden Warper, later wrote a book. The name of the book, The Prisoner in His Palace, His American Guard, and What History Left Unsaid. The title of the book, translated in Bengali, is A Prisoner in His Palace, His American Guard, What History Left Unsaid. The book contains some unknown fact about Saddam's last days. How the soldiers become involved in a strong bond with Saddam. How a former powerful ruler spent his last days is the story that emerges in this book. Mr. Barden-Warper mentioned in the book that when they handed Saddam over to the executioners for hanging, all 12 of them had tears in their eyes. This is a story of humanity, where enemies become friends, where even death sometimes fills people with emotion. Saddam often looked like his grandfather. Barden-Warper quoted one of his army comrades, Rogerson, as saying, "We never saw Saddam as a psychopathic killer. We looked at him like our own grandfather at times." While spending the last years of his life in an Iraqi prison, Saddam Hussein regularly listened to American singer Mary J. Blige. Saddam loved to ride his exercise bike, which he named Pony. He loved sweets. He would occasionally want to eat muffins. Barden-Warper wrote that Saddam treated them very well in the last days of his life. It was not clear from that treatment that Saddam Hussein had at one time been a very cruel ruler. Castro taught him how to smoke cigars. Saddam was very addicted to Cohiba cigars. Cohiba is considered to be one of the best cigars in Cuba. The cigars were kept in a box wrapped in white wipes. Saddam himself said that Fidel Castro taught him how to smoke cigars many years ago. Besides cigar, gardening was another favorite hobby of Saddam Hussein. He also considered the wild vases that grew carelessly inside the prison to be beautiful flowers. He was very sensitive about food and drink. He would have breakfast in several stages. First an omelette, then a muffin, and finally fresh food. However, if each omelette fell apart by mistake, he would refuse to eat it. Such was his strict attitude towards food rules. Barden-Warper, recalling his memories, wrote that Saddam once told a horrific story to illustrate how cruel his son Uday was. Uday had once gone to a party and opened fire, killing several people and injuring others. Saddam was so furious at his incident that he ordered all of his son's luxury cars to be set on fire. Rolls-Royces, Ferraris, Porsches, all these expensive cars were burned. Saddam burst into a fit of rage in front of his military guards as he recounted the incident. Another memory recounted by his guards is that one day an American soldier told Saddam Hussein that his brother had died. Saddam hugged the soldiers and said, "From today on, you are my brother." He told another guard, "If I can use my property, I will pay for your son's college education." One night, a 20-something guard named Dawson was walking around wearing an ill-fitting suit. It turned out that Saddam had given him the suit. We all laughed at Dawson for days because of that suit. He walked around in it as if he were walking the catwalk in a fashion show, says Barden-Warper. Saddam and his guard gradually became close, although they were strictly forbidden to approach Saddam. During his trial, Saddam Hussein was held in two prisons. One was the International Tribunal Detention Center and the other was in Saddam One Place, north of Baghdad, which was located on an island. To get to the island, you had to cross a bridge. We certainly did not give Saddam anything he did not deserve, wrote Bardenwerper, but we never hurt his ego. Some guards, including Steve Hutchinson and Chris Tusker, converted a storeroom in the place into Saddam's office. The guards all wanted to surprise Saddam. A small table and a leather-covered chair were brought from old discouraged item. A small Iraqi flag was also placed on the table. We tried to create an office for Saddam inside the prison, wrote Bardenwerper. When Saddam first went into the room, a soldier suddenly noticed that there was dust on the table. He started to dust it off. This little detail did not escape Saddam's attention. He smiled as he sat down on the chair. From then on, Saddam would sit in that chair every day. All of his security guards would sit in the chair in front, as if he were sitting in his own court. The guard would try to keep Saddam happy, and in return Saddam would smile and laugh with them. Some of the guards later told Bardenwerper that they believed if ever there was danger, Saddam would risk his life to save them. Whenever he got the chance, Saddam would inquire about these families of his guard. This behavior created a unique kind of respect and human relationship in the mind of the guards. A surprising thing is mentioned in Bardenwerper books. After Saddam's death, his guards moved in a real way, even though he was a staunch enemy of America. One of the guards, Adam Rogerson, later told Bardenwerper, "After Saddam was hanged, I feel like we betrayed him. We feel like we are his killer now. We killed someone who was very close to us." When Saddam's body was brought out after his execution, the crowd that had gathered there spot on it. The American soldiers were shocked to see the incident. Bardenwerper writes that the 12 men who were in charge of Saddam's final security were particularly shocked by the filth. One of them tried to stop the crowd with his hand claps, but the rest of the team pulled him away. One of the 12 men, Steve Hutchinson, resigned from the US military shortly after Saddam's execution. Hutchinson now works in Georgia as a gardener and provides tactical training. He still feels angry because he was ordered not to engage in combat with the Iraqis, who were insulting Saddam's body that day. Saddam Hussein hoped until the end that he would not be hanged. A guard, Adam Rogerson, told Bardenwerper that Saddam had expressed his desire to marry again after his release from prison and had even talked about having laughed with a woman. On December 30, 2006, at around 3 am, he was woken up told that he would be hanged shortly. Saddam's hopes were dashed. He took a shower and prepared for the execution, but one thought kept running through his mind. Are the members of the Super 12 sleeping too? Minutes before his execution, Saddam called Steve Hutchinson out of his cell. He reached through the iron bars and handed him his Raymond Wealth watch. Hutchinson objected, but Saddam forced the watch into his hand. The watch still tricks in a box at Hutchinson's home in Georgia. Saddam Hussein was a strong Muslim leader who faced great adversity to defend Iraq's sovereignty. He tried to keep the country afloat despite pressure from Western power and enemies. Although his rule was controversial and flawed, many Muslims respect him for his courage, determination, patriotism. His fall was a major blow to the Muslim world, as many of the charges against him were sometimes politically motivated and seen as conspiracies by hostile forces. Saddam's life and action remind us that strength and unity are of immense importance in preserving the freedom and sovereignty of the Muslim world.